Hello. I want to do a real short video on rust repair on your car. I know there's a lot of videos out there where people are showing you how to cut the metal out, how to weld it in, and a lot of people don't have access to that equipment, and most of the vehicles people are trying to repair are daily driven. They have a life of maybe 10 years. If you're doing a custom hot rod or something, a very expensive car, that would be the best solution. However, most people have a daily driven car. It's worth just a few $1,000s, and it may not be practical to take it to a body shop and spend several $1,000s fixing a rust patch. You know, if it's a fender, you can put another fender on fairly easy, fairly economically. On my car, I've got a rust spot on it underneath the doors. It started out with a paint blister. It had just a little blister on it. Basically, the dealer that I purchased it from covered it up with spray paint, so that all that rust underneath the paint just kept growing over the past 3 years. At about 6 months, I noticed just a little teeny spot showing through. Then after about 3 years, it had a hole in it big enough I could put 3 or 4 fingers into. And I'm in the process of repairing that. I got a product here. It's called Fiberglass Resin Jelly. Turn this so maybe you don't get a glare on the label. I use that, and when you mix it up, it's a lot like the typical body filler that everyone uses. Here's a piece of it where it's set up on me. It's a cream. You got a working time of about 5 minutes. Okay, I used a fabric like this, and I had to butter it, and I had to take a piece no bigger than a dollar bill, and I buttered it and I stuck it on there, and that worked fairly well, but it dried in like 15 minutes. It was you had to work very fast, and you couldn't do much at all. The liquid type that other people are familiar with, I've used that in the past, and you got a working time of maybe 20 minutes. What I do is I cut out all the surface rust. I grind up all the paint, and I get rid of all the bad metal. I started out with a hole maybe, I don't know, that size, and I ended up with a hole about 4 inches wide and about 3 feet long. Just because everywhere there was a blister, and I just picked at it with my putty knife, and all of a sudden I was knocking holes in it. So all that metal had to be removed, otherwise it'll just rust through and fall out again. When I do that, I take some wire screen. It's a 1/4 inch. You can buy it at the building supply center or the garden center. It's some type of garden fabric, but it's a wire screen, and I use that as a backing. And when I put this fabric on there, I use that glue, and it sticks to the metal weave. It's a lot like putting wire into concrete floors and things. It gives it a lot of strength. It gives you a backing support, because when you push this fabric in there, it doesn't take much to bend it and push it back in there. So you need something behind it, whether it be metal or that wire screen. I like the wire screen because it's very easy to mold, and sometimes I took this putty right here, and I'd get a little bit underneath it, and I'd just kind of glue it into place and let it set up. But I think if you have a small hole, or just a very small patch to do, then this gel formula is a good product. But I found on a larger patch area, I could only do just one little piece, 2 or 3 inches. By the time I buttered it and stuck it on there and coated the top and smoothed it out, the stuff was setting up. So I don't think that the fiberglass gel is that great of a product, but I am going to use that as a base on my repair, and put about 2 more layers of this fabric on with the regular liquid stuff. And basically, I just brush that on with a paintbrush and lay the fabric on there and just brush it on until it's soaked all the way through. If you want a really good instructional video on how to use that stuff, look at the fiberglass resin videos where people are repairing the hull of a boat. There's several on YouTube. I watched one from a Bondo guy, and where he dipped the stuff in there and the stuff was just dripping all over the place. He was making a big mess. That's not the proper way to use it. Just use a paintbrush and brush a little bit on this fabric. Just brush a little bit on here until it's wet, and stick it on your repair. And then brush a little more on the outside until it's completely saturated. It should not be dripping off, but it should not be white. It should be a clear looking, maybe an opaque yellow. But I wanted to show you this particular product. I wasn't real impressed with it, other than it has a very quick dry time. This other stuff, it usually has to sit overnight before you can work on it. That other stuff, you can sand it in like an hour. And if the sunlight gets on your mixing board, it sets up about instantly, within about 3 minutes. So I'm saying the working time on this product is maybe less than 5 minutes. This particular can right here, it says on the back the working time is 10 minutes, but I've actually used that in the past up to 30 minutes before it started getting sticky enough you couldn't use it anymore. I'm going to fix the comments on here so they require approval. So if you have negative comments, then I'm just going to ignore them. Thanks for your time, and I hope you can take care of your little project without having a disastrous mess. The gel product it reminds me of using body filler, the fiberglass type, the short hair. There's long hair types too. That's, if you have a small hole, that might be a better solution. Anyway, thanks for watching.